Our State of the U.S. segment tonight, a baby born in Canada is reportedly the first ever to receive a genderless government ID card. The baby, named Cyril Atlee Doty, did not undergo a genital inspection after birth, according to the group Gender Free ID Coalition. That group aims to remove all gender and sex designations from identity documents. Now, liberals have been pushing this idea for a while. What is their end goal? With me now, retired deputy editorial page editor of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, my uncle, Kevin O'Brien. Uncle Kevin, good to see you.
Good to see you too, niece, not nephew.
All right, Uncle, this is quite interesting, I think. This baby has yet to receive a birth certificate because the Canadian government hasn't issued one without a gender designation for the child. But the child did receive, I believe, a health card for the socialized single-payer healthcare system in Canada. This is quite something to me that the Party of Science, liberals and Democrats, so they call themselves, is denying basic biology.
Well, the left does not like the idea that we are created male and female. They think that the differences should be abolished in some places and should be highlighted in others. I'm not really sure where they stand on this because the consistency just is not there. But in this is one of the cases where one of its protected groups, this is a trans parent, wants the child not designated, and the Canadian government is so far sort of going along with it and also not figuring out quite yet what it wants to do.
Right. Let bureaucracy take time to figure this out because they're so good at quickly solving problems here. I mean, realistically, what is this child's childhood even going to look like if they don't have a designated gender?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I care. I think I don't want to ignore the parental rights part of this thing because as soon as you start dictating to parents what they will do with their children, you go down another dangerous road. So I think my position on this is going to be that, okay, you've got a parent who wants to do something eccentric and make their child a political pawn for a leftist cause. And you know what? I'm going to say that's okay. What I don't want to say is that it's a good idea for the Canadian government to normalize this kind of behavior and make this an avenue that other people will want to go down or will have an easy time going down. You know, I think for the sake of an orderly society, it's probably not a bad idea for government to resist this sort of thing, but then make exceptions where exceptions are warranted.
Right. Well, here's my main problem with it. Besides, fundamentally, I guess, thinking that it's an immoral thing to do to that child and not setting up that child for having a successful life. But I can understand where you're coming from, saying it's the parent's choice, because who wants someone on television telling you how to parent? I can understand that. My problem would be the government is clearly going to create a protected status for this individual and for family units of this type. And where does that end? I mean, because this parent wants to raise this child to be genderless, do we owe them special treatment?
No, I don't think so. But I think you're probably right. I think the Canadian government, being what it is, will probably follow through the rest of the way and accede to this parent's wishes. And I think that's a bad idea. And I think it's a bad situation for this child to be and for other children to be in who are going to land in similar circumstances. And I think that's just Canada. I think that's how they are. They have this weird human rights thing going on that doesn't recognize reality and will do everything that it can to escape from reality or help people consider pretend they're escaping from reality. So this is all very bad policy, and it will probably get to be worse policy before it's all over. And I think that's too bad, and I think the United States should look at that and say, no, this is not something that we're going to do. We're not going to follow suit.
Right. These pot shots coming from a man, by the way, who lives in Cleveland. You can practically see Canada from your house here. And I guess last question here is, where does this end? I mean, in my opinion, these types of attacks on the family structure are purposeful on the part of progressives because if you don't rely on the traditional family unit, then you have to rely on government. That's what liberals want. So where does this end? What if, an adult wants to identify as a child? What if an adult wants to identify as an animal? What if a child wants to identify as an inanimate object? Where does this end if we start down this slippery slope?
The only place it ends, the only way it ends, is if a government says, no, okay, this far and no farther, we're not going to do anything else to accommodate you. You'll have to just decide these things on your own privately because we're not going to give it official sanction. The left is relentless. Every time it wins, every time it scores, it moves the goalposts a little farther and determines to score again. There is no way to stop this except to just simply say, sorry, but this is as far as we can go. We're not going any farther.
Right.
I don't see anybody doing that right now either.
No, but in my opinion, that's what the Canadian government should do. Not even for the benefit of this individual child, although I think it would benefit the child, but for the benefit of society, because we won't survive as a culture if we destroy the family unit completely. Uncle Kevin.